most people could probably find 6 seconds a day. You can't have a great relationship unless you spend time together.
People that won't leave their kids and say, we just can't leave our kids at all. I'm like, try it. You'll like it.
What's the one thing you could start with that would really move the needle?
Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhoads.
And I'm Marilyn Rhoads. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
This is Brad Rhoads, and we're back on the Grace Marriage Podcast. And so thankful to have John McGee. John McGee's at Watermark Church and one of the national leaders in the marriage space, and extremely humble and about the mission, not about his ministry. And he not only makes his ministry better, he makes other ministries better. And I'm so thankful for your friendship, John. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, brother. It's fun to be here. Fun to see your face. Really grateful for your good work.
Well, I appreciate it. And we are both in the business of trying to make marriage important in the church, so that the vision would be that marriage ministry is as standard as children and youth ministry. So right. As we get started, I want to encourage, he's talked about Re-engage, his marriage ministry. And we've talked about Grace Marriage. If your church doesn't have a marriage ministry, be the persistent widow in a kind way, and just don't stop until marriage is a devoted ministry in the church, as important in children and youth. So, wouldn't you agree, John, that having a marriage? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I give a couple pointers on approaching senior pastors and things like that?
Yes.
Okay, because I've had, this is probably not in your notes, you can cut this out if you want, but I've had so many people come and they're so excited to take, Re-engage or Grace Marriage to their church, and they get shot down and they give up and they're mad and they're like, the pastor hates me. They'll come back and say, my pastor hates marriages. And I go, I don't know that's true. A couple things. One, just, or how about this? I'd want you to know that a senior pastor, elder, or whatever your polity is, they consistently have people show up in their inbox on their doorstep with ideas that they've heard outside, and they think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened ever in the history of Christianity. And you need to know, and also people from the outside that aren't even part of the church, they're hitting their inboxes consistently. So what I always tell people is, you need to know that everyone loves your senior pastor and your church and has a wonderful plan for its platform. Like, everyone is trying to use your senior pastor to get him to do something, and so you're just next. So you just need to, one, know that, and then two, I could give you 100 different pointers, but one is to make sure that you're not trying to spin up something that doesn't run alongside the tracks that your leadership has laid out. Meaning, I bet you they're going to talk somewhere in your mission statement. There's going to be disciple making. There's going to be something about just kind of reaching people. And so what you do then is you take these these programs, ministries, or whatever it is you want to come up with, and you position it, you communicate it as a way to pull those things off, not somehow something different or just a program, if that makes sense. So you're actually so you want to help your senior pastor, your elders, pull off the mission that they feel they have in them. It'd be a help. You're not trying to get something different or trying to get, airtime for your thing. No, this is our church's thing. This is your thing. I think it's a way for us to make disciples. So if that makes sense, Brad, I get so sad for people who are zealous but not wise when they go back and communicate. And that those couple sound bites come from a lot of heartbreaking conversations.
That's really good. And we found too, another thing that's helpful, if you have a senior pastor that's not immediately amenable to it, just say, hey, do you mind if I start just a small group of 7 couples? And then after a year or after a couple months, we'll kind of share the feedback from those couples. And go ahead and share the vision with your senior pastor. I'd love healthy marriages be the DNA of our church. I'd love us to have an established marriage ministry. Hey, I know you're busy. If that's not like Skittles to him, and he doesn't just eat it up and launch it, start small. I had one church that launched Grace Marriage. The senior pastor wasn't behind it. Now they're up to 80 couples doing grace marriage, and the senior pastor's all behind it and talking all about it because he jumped on the wagon. So if they won't jump on the wagon, try to create a wagon that's so pretty they want to jump on the wagon.
Love it. I love it. Yeah.
But to John's point, avoid a negative attitude toward your senior pastor. Because it's easy, like you have this heart for marriage, and then all of a sudden they don't. And then all of a sudden, this seed of disdain towards your church and pastor comes up, and it turns out bad for your church and for you. Would you agree with that, John?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I could talk for days, but just be respectful. If they says, you can only have a small group, be so grateful. Thank you so much. Do an amazing job with it. Report back, give them stories that they can celebrate, and then just say, hey, how do you feel about me taking a next step? Or do you have any other ideas? Like, that's materially different than someone coming in hot. I've got a new program. We've got to do this or else. A pastor worth his salt will understand people who want to play team ball and are about the thing, not themselves. And they're always trying to weed out people who are trying to build a personal, brand platform ministry around them. And they love over time working with people they trust. And so that could be a 1 hour conversation, but yeah, those are really good thoughts.
Yeah, and it's so true. And it's like, is one thing we do at Grace Marriage is we say, look, we don't want you to launch Grace Marriage in your church. We want your church to have a vibrant marriage ministry. So we want you to brand it under First Baptist Marriage, First Christian Marriage. We want to come alongside you and help you have a wonderful marriage ministry, but we want to be secondary. We want the church to be discipling, the church to be shepherding. We don't want to be a program within your church. We want to assist your church to have a vibrant marriage ministry. So I think like to your point, John, it's not that I found this wonderful program that you'd be stupid not to do, as much as, hey, I love our church and one would love to be part of making a great church better.
That's it. Yep.
So
100%.
great word. Well, John, we're going to jump back to encouraging marriages. One of the challenges I've seen, and you've probably seen as well, is marriages don't get a lot of time. And one of the reasons they don't get a lot of time is because children take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll talk to them, and it's like you've talked before with me about everything seems common themes in crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Does one of the common themes seem to be a lack of meaningful individual time together?
Yeah, sure. Yes. That's a nuanced conversation. You can't have a great relationship unless you spend time together. One of the metaphors Pam and I use about marriage, everyone uses it, but just that of a great garden. So if you see, 30 years ago, we were up in Victoria Island and we saw this amazing garden this couple had because they worked it like crazy. And so it was really a showstopper. It was, and we found out later tour buses would stop by this couple's house just to look at it. So it was that spectacular. But the reason was because they put in a lot of effort. It didn't accidentally happen, and their soil was no different than the person next to them, but they had just really, really worked it, invested in it. And I remember we were going on a tour of or they just saw us and said, hey, would you guys like to look around? We looked around and a woman goes, she like stops just with terror on her face. She goes, wait, who's watching your garden back home? And I was like, nobody's watching our garden. And that's why our garden looks like it does. And that's why yours looks like it does. You never take a vacation day. So there's something analogous to that. You have to invest in your marriage. The only thing I don't like, Brad, is this um, where date nights become an end to themselves and a couple just says, hey, we have to fight for date nights and we have to, I think they're great. Pam and I have always had through every season of our marriage some type of rhythm. Some of them have been really fun. One year we did these learning. I told you about the best of us dates. That was amazing. That's my favorite. We did learning dates where we would go and we would like learn something like how to sling pottery or how to sail. Like once a month we did that. How to blow glass. Have you ever blown glass? Have you ever done that?
I've not. My wife has watched it, and my wife does everything. I do nothing. So she would answer yes to all those questions. I'd answer no to all of them.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to save you because I was so excited about this one. And I thought I was actually going to get to touch some molten glass and it was going to be amazing. And the guy just said, basically, sit right here. Don't touch anything. Turn this little, roll this tube over. I'll do all the work. Occasionally you should blow through there. And I was like, no, man. So, he handed me this thing. I didn't make that. So Pam and I said, we're not going to pursue glass blowing. But so that's some intentionality in there. However, you don't have to spend a single dollar. You don't have to spend a single dollar. And you can come home at night. I really do believe if you came home at night from work, both of you, I know you're tired, but just said, hey, we're going to sit on this couch or we're going to sit on our back porch or whatever. We're 10 to 15 minutes. How was your day? Where are you? You know, what was your high low? How can I help you? You know, celebrate the wins, grieve with the losses. If that's all you did, I think you would have an amazing marriage. But you are gonna have to spend some time, some way, you have to save some energy, but it will look different. So someone who's got 4 little kids at home, um, that's just gonna look different than Pam and I are empty nesters right now, and we're hopping on planes and we're doing stuff. We're going out to dinner anytime we feel like it. It's just different, but you're going to be really, really glad if you're in the kind of, if you've seen that kind of U curve of marital satisfaction. If you invest, when it's hard, when the dust settles, you have a little more time, maybe a little bit more discretionary income. You're going to be really, really glad that you did. It's going to be like a 401k that even though it's really hard to put a little bit of money in there, 10, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to be so glad. Like you will not regret. You will not regret any sacrifice and any just kind of intentionality around that. I think intentionality would be a word that I would rally around. So yeah, I agree. We can't make it an end to itself somehow, Brad, and like put this heavy weight on people that they have those Instagram accounts where it feels like every night this couple does something truly unbelievable. That there's like we could make a movie about each night of the week, just your date night. That's great if that's you. That's not real. That gets followers and sponsorships. But you do have to connect in
It's
some way.
it's about spending time together. So I think the Gottman studies, they call it the Gottman Magic Five. If you spend 5 hours of undistracted one-on-one time together, there's some just magic about just being together. We use the analogy, John, of a pot. Like you can't grow a big oak tree in a small pot. And
Yes.
the bigger pot of
Good.
time you give a marriage, the more room the marriage has to mature, grow, and be beautiful. And the smaller pot, the smaller time, the more likely it's going to fail to mature and die. So just and biblically, marriage is so important, your most important horizontal relationship. So allocating it time, whether it's at home, whether it's going out, whether it's spending no money, whether it's spending a lot of money, that's not what matters. What matters is that you give it the time. Because without the time, it doesn't mature. With the time, it can mature. And like you said earlier, communication, sex, those things tend to work themselves out when you give yourself plenty of time to work them in. The problem is people are so busy and tired, they get sideways.
Yes. Yeah, and just look for things that just have an inordinate. I think for Pam and I, look for things that have an inordinate return. And so here's a couple. I'm sure you've talked about the 6-second kiss or the 10-second hug. Like, well, that takes all of 6 seconds, And there's amazing research about that. Well, most people could probably find 6 seconds a day, and then another one for us. I mean, Pam would just tell you, hey, if you ask me in the morning, hey, like where. So the question is, hey, where are you? And then how can I pray for you? Meaning like, hey, you're looking at the day. Are you sad? Are you excited? Are you anxious? Just kind of where are you? And how can I pray for you? And so maybe hopefully you have a little bit of just 10 seconds right there to pray a quick prayer. God, I pray that as Pam's anxious today, she would cast all of her anxiety on you and experience the gift of peace from your spirit. We love you in Christ's name, amen. So that would take all of a minute and a half for both of you to do that, and that would have an inordinate impact. So I would think there is something about moving really, really slow and long, 5 hours, big fan. And then also for couples, just to think about what are the couple things that you could do, or what's the one thing you could start with that would really move the needle, that wouldn't be cost or time prohibitive.
And for us, then every marriage is different. But for us, the daily connection, the 10 to 15 minutes at least, and then just having one block that's at least a few hours each week that we can actually connect at a deeper level. I find the daily keeps us connected. The bigger block of time allows us to enjoy one another and grow deeper. And I love your 401k analogy. It's funny, I was talking to a financial advisor this week, and he was talking about 401ks and all this stuff. And he was talking about the investment over time and this. And I'll turn to him and say, well, tell me about, are you in grace marriage at your church? His church is grace marriage. He said, not. I said, so you're choosing not to invest in your marriage and telling me to invest in my finances. and he said, dating. And I said, well, unless you start spending time with your wife every week, I'm going to put my entire 401k in the money market.
Nice.
so, but,
Totally awesome.
but yeah, your 401k example is great because you don't really see the benefit of it. You don't see the benefit of it, but when you agree over a long period of time, you don't realize the capital you're creating.
That's it. That's it. And you're going back. I'm a big fan of creating memories, Pam and I, with our kids, because memories pay dividends 3 times. So there's the planning for it. The anticipation is real. That brings a lot of joy to couples, a lot of excitement. Hey, we're looking forward to this thing. It doesn't even have to be big, but there's that. It pays dividends then. It pays dividends when you actually do the thing, whatever it is that is fun for you. You're doing it, you're enjoying it, you breathe deep. So this is really, I love doing this with you. And then third, pays dividends when you think about memories. And so you're looking back, and Pam and I, and especially with our kids, we spend an inordinate time talking back about the memories that we made together. And that took planning, that took time, that took money, sometimes that we didn't really feel like we had to give, and it hurt to do it. And when we get together as a family, there's this, hey, do you remember this time? Do you remember um, we climbed Half Dome, if you know that.
I do.
And remember that, our little sister was sucking down all of our water, and we were parched, and she kept begging people that were passing us for water. And because she was so cute, we kept getting water, we just laughed. And we can go back and relive that. And so I'm just a big fan of memories, big and small, big and small. Like it doesn't have to be, um, you know, 4 weeks in Europe. That's great. If you can pull that off, go get it. But it could just be this year, we looked for the best cup of coffee, black coffee in our town. And we said, we're going to go try to hit 15 coffee shops. And we're just going to sit down and slowly drink a cup of coffee. And we had a little system where we ranked the coffee in the coffee shop and things like that. Do you remember that year? That was amazing. It cost us $2.50 a cup, and that many times. And boy, that I remember being so close to you. That yes, it just there's no shortcut for time and an investment and carving off a little bit. It'll get squeezed out if you don't prioritize it.
We did the same thing with milkshakes. We went to
Yeah,
like 5 different milkshake places and
much
we got
better, much better.
smalls at each place. So together
Right.
we ate 2.5 small milkshakes each. And then we sat down afterwards and we ranked them on texture,
Yes,
price performer, taste, and we talked, and then we had the whole thing, and then we came up with that. So yeah, it's not that hard and it's not that expensive. I mean, it's one, yes, invest money in your marriage if you can. And it's, there's no better investment than in your marriage. I mean, frankly, if they want a very quick way to lose 50% of your resources, just get divorced. So it's a good
yeah,
investment. But too, if you don't have any money, and early in our marriage, we just traded babysitting. We found a couple that had kids we trusted. They fell on the sword. Thursdays, we fell on the sword, and we both got to spend time together once a week. It was nice.
yeah. We walk our dogs at night. That's probably the highlight of my day. Is we walk our dogs and we talk. It costs us nothing. Nothing at all, 4 dog treats just to call them back when they run away in the field. And that's it. And that's probably one of the best things we're doing for our marriage right now.
That's awesome. Well, it's a battle because people aren't going to encourage you to do this. You're going to get asked to do a lot of things at church and at work and everything. And you're not going to have a whole lot of folks like John and I saying, hey, spend time together. So you really have to not be conformed to the patterns of the world. And you've got to swim upstream. You just got to say, for me and my house, this is how we're going to do life. And we don't
Yeah.
care if everybody else does it another way. People
Yeah.
I said, we try. And people that won't leave their kids and say, we just can't leave our kids at all. I'm like, try it. You'll like it.
If I could come back to that whole, like, there's not other people out there. I think there are that value their marriage. You just have to find them and prioritize them.
That's a
And
great point.
that has been one of the best things, is crowdsourcing ideas, and really even not even crowdsourcing, learning from being inspired by people who have better marriages than you. And so Pam and I will seek them out. I'll give you two things we do. The second will be controversial, but we will seek out couples that we feel like have a better marriage than us, and we want to learn from. So I've got a friend. His name is Kyle. He's 10 years older than me. He's literally the best husband I've ever met. I mean, it's just like super human. And he told me, "Hey, John, you should never have to ask Pam what she wants for Christmas or her birthday, because if you're spending enough time with her and listening, she's telling you, and you should know." And I'm like, "Dude, we're just built different." Like I don't have that, but what I'm learning from Kyle is just to pay attention. And like he will sit down at a restaurant, and before his wife orders, he will try to figure out what she's going to order. So before she does, he said, "I think you're going to order this," right? And he's just modeling, just studying his wife. And so we want to spend time with couples like that. And then this will be controversial. Um, we're moving couples out of our inner circle who um, do not honor each other. So there's someone we know, and when we were around them, they're always like, he actually, she's great. He would always just take these sideways shots repeatedly at her and about marriage and things like that. And I did talk to him, and Pam and I just said, you know what? Hey, if they need us, you know, they have a crisis, they like, we will show up for them 100%. We will not put them on our calendar anymore. And just not going, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be drugged down by them. But again, like, hey man, we will help you, we will serve you, but we will not look to spend more time with you. And we're trying to spend as less time with them as possible. And so you can say that's harsh. I want to have a good marriage, and I don't want to be around people who are completely ambivalent or worse. Kind of that would be detrimental to my marriage. Now, if that's different than helping a couple say, "Hey, we're struggling. Can you
Mhm.
spend time with us?" Got energy for years for that, but I'm just kind of committed to being cantankerous, and I don't have a lot of time for that these days. I'm getting older, and I'm trying to spend my time wisely. So, do you have any thoughts or reactions to that?
I couldn't agree more because I've heard it said that you become like the five people you spend the most
Yeah,
time with.
yeah, I
And,
think that's most true.
I think that's most like I've got a long way to go, but I'm more gentle and more kind than I used to be. Why? Because I'm around Marilyn a lot. So but who you choose to be around in your closest inner circle is who you're going to be like. And
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so I couldn't agree more. Find folks that have marriages you want to emulate, and then
Yeah,
be that marriage other people wants to emulate, so we can start spreading
yes,
this thing. So great marriages aren't such an anomaly, but they're the norm.
yes.
So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, John, it's been a privilege being with you.
Likewise,
Well,
brother.
John's at Watermark, and they have Re-engage Ministry, which is an amazing ministry, and you can bring it to your church. Remind us the website again, John, where they
Yeah.
find you.
Yeah, it's reengage.org, or sometimes people have an easier time remembering marriagehelp.org. And you can go there, and, so just for you as a participant, there's a map there. You can find out if there's a reengage close to you and just show up, call the church and say, "Hey, do you guys, when's the next round?" Some churches meet year round. Go there. And then also, I know a lot of your listeners are going to be marriage champions. And if you want to bring it to your church, there's a little button up there. You can kind of fill out an interest form, and one of our coaches will follow up with you. And then, I think we said on the other podcast, Brad, a lot of churches are using both Reengage and Grace Marriage, which has been really, really fun. You can kind of go to their marriage ministry page, and I was like, I recognize both of those logos, and they're using them together in a real complementary way, which has been really, really fun. We're partners, even though, there's no formal partnership. I feel like we're serving churches together, which is really, really fun.
Yeah, I found some of our churches that do marriage ministry the very best have vibrant Re-engage, where they're bringing people into their marriage ministry through Re-engage. Then the Grace Marriage is what's next, and they're keeping them engaged so that the end of Re-engage is their starting point, not their high point.
Yeah,
So they're
that's right.
continued to be discipled and shepherded through Grace Marriage, but Re-engage gives them so much quicker than Grace Marriage gives them based on the 14 straight model. So love what you're doing, John. And
Thanks, brother.
if you're not involved in a marriage ministry at church, be involved. If you're in one, show up for your sessions, bring marriage ministry to your church. And most importantly, just your main marriage ministry is your marriage. So live out of that and have an influential marriage. Have a marriage that John wants to hang out with, and not somebody that he cuts off his list. So, hey, God bless, John. Thanks for your time, John. And it's an honor serving alongside you in the marriage space.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.